Yeah, hi guys, good morning. And in today's session, we'll talk about our EC2s and virtual machines. How can we create EC2? What are the different type of EC2s available in AWS? Okay, and what is virtual machine and how can we provision one virtual machines? Okay, so let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, Sabir, we can.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So today's topic, it will be more on EC2s. Okay, so EC2 in AWS. So we have one service called EC2 in AWS, and similarly we have one service called VM in Azure. What do you mean by EC2? Any idea what is EC2? Or what is the full form of EC2?
Elastic Cloud.
It is a service, sir. Elastic Cloud Computing.
Yeah. VM means?
It is also a service.
Yeah, even I know that this is a service, but what is the full form of VM?
Virtual machine.
Yeah, virtual machine. Okay. With the help of these services, we can provision one server. Okay. With the help of EC2 or virtual machine, we can provision one server for our environment. So let us go to the dashboards and let us see where can we find this. Okay, so this is my AWS account. Okay, in this AWS account, if you want to search for any service, right? So currently I'm in which region? North Virginia region. So you can use any region as per your requirement. That is not a problem. Okay, so here we have something called EC2, and if I'll open EC2, right, then we can see something called virtual servers in the cloud. Means we can create virtual servers in the cloud with the help of Elastic Cloud Compute. Okay, just click on this service. Okay, so this is the kind of dashboard what we are seeing. And if you want to launch any instance, right, then we can use these options. Launch instance means I want to create one server now. So if I click on launch instance, then the first option what we can see is it is asking us to provide the name. So any name based upon your requirement means this name is only for your identification. This is not something which will be impacting on the AWS. No, this is only for our identification. That's it. So I will launch as first server. Okay. And then if I'll scroll down to the next option, here we can find something called application and OS images, AMI. AMI means Amazon machine images. But what is the use of AMI? What is the use of AMI? And what does AMI contains? Why should I select this option? Means if I want to provision one EC2, why should I select this option? What if I not select this option? What will happen? Here if you see, yes, continue, Balu.
To create a infrastructure for us.
Basically, AMI is nothing but the image of our operating system. For example, whenever we purchase any laptop, right? So what we'll do? We'll ask the end user, I mean to the shop owner or from where we have purchased to configure one Windows operating system, right? So without that operating system, is there a, I mean, does that make any sense to have one hardware with us? Without operating system, can we use? Okay, so we are trying to purchase one infrastructure or hardware from AWS, and to that hardware, in order to communicate, we need one Amazon machine image. This is nothing but the operating system. Okay, so which operating system you want to install? It can be either Amazon Linux, Mac OS, Ubuntu, Windows, Red Hat. We can see a lot of AMIs. If I click here, we can see there are a lot of AMIs available. Amazon Linux 2023 AMI means this is the latest Linux image. This is also one of the Linux flavor provided by AWS. Okay, and then we have Amazon Linux 2, that is 2022 image. And then we have Mac OS. Okay, then we have Red Hat and Mac OS. Again, Red Hat Linux 9, SUSE version, Ubuntu server, Microsoft Windows. So which operating system you want to configure, we can select from these Amazon machine images. So this is compulsorily required. Without operating system, our hardware is of no use, means we cannot communicate with our hardware, right? Yes or no? Agree?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So here, when I have clicked on browse more AMIs, if I click here again, you can see quick start AMIs, my AMIs, AMIs marketplace AMIs, community AMIs. So why do we have these many options? Why do we have these many options? Even we have a search bar over here, so you can search whatever operating system you want to configure. But why do we have these many options? What do you mean by quick start AMIs? Quick start is nothing but the commonly used AMIs, means this is something which is commonly used across different users. There are 47 images. And then my AMIs are nothing but, if you see this, my AMIs are 0 created by, means this is something what we have customized. The operating system image what I have created for my personal use or my project use. Okay, how to create this? We'll talk about this at later point of time. Okay, and then we have something called AWS Marketplace AMIs. If I click here, we can see 9,154 images are available. What do you mean by marketplace? Means, for example, I need one EC2 with a specific application as well. For example, let me search for Tomcat. See, Tomcat server on Ubuntu 20.04. So if I select this image, what will happen? It will install Ubuntu as well as Tomcat as well in that Ubuntu. So we'll also get some softwares which are required for our application. Means instead of launching one AMI and again installing Tomcat or Apache, we can use these services as well. They will provide the default software for us. No need to install. That's the place where we call as marketplace. Means it will also provide some software for us. And then community AMIs. For example, community AMIs means you can find communities everywhere for every tool. Even for GitHub, you can find communities. Even for Linux, you can find communities. Even for AWS, you will find communities. Azure, you will find communities. So what is the purpose of communities? For example, I am facing some issue. Okay, unable to launch EC2. Hit enter. Okay, then we can see there is something called Stack Overflow. If I click here, then we can see a lot of users are trying to respond to my queries or any queries. This is nothing but a kind of community who are trying to help each other. All the developers or the operations guys who are technically good and who want to help others, right, in terms of technology, in terms of learning, they will try to provide some solutions. Do this, it may solve. Do this, it may solve. So even we can find community AMI. Community AMI is nothing but I can customize my own image as per the requirement and I can share to the community. If anyone wants to use this, then they can use this. I mean, see here we can see some image called Bitnami Tomcat 9.0. Means someone has what he has did, he has created one image and he has installed Tomcat and he has provided this image to the community. Means if anyone has the same requirement, then instead of doing it from scratch, you can use this image. So that's how everyone is trying to help each other. So that's up to you whether you want to use community AMIs or you want to propose something to the community. Means you want to help to the community where some users are trying to learn. Okay, so in our case, we'll be using quick AMIs only. Understood, right?
Yes.
All the AMIs are same, guys. There is no difference. Only the purpose is in marketplace we will get some software as well. Community means someone will try to configure and they will publish to the end users. Anyone can use across the globe. Even we can do that. Okay. So in our case, we'll be using our Amazon Linux 2 image. Okay. Here if you'll see this Amazon Linux and I will be using Amazon Linux 2 AMI. Means 2022 AMI is something what I want to use. Okay, so I will select this. Okay, and here we can see kernel 5.10. This is the SSD volume type. I mean, this will support SSD volumes as well. Okay, and then if I'll scroll down,
Sagar, is there any specific reason you are choosing that domain from starting?
you can use either Amazon Linux 3 2023 or Linux 2 or Ubuntu or Red Hat. Anything is okay for us. Since we want the exposure of Linux, I'm using Linux images. That's it. Okay, and the reason why I'm using Linux 2 is because I'm more comfortable on Linux 2 images. I mean, the kind of packages it has or the kind of work we can do on Linux 2, right? So I'm more comfortable in Linux 2. That's the reason I'm using Amazon Linux 2 images only. Okay, and then if I'll scroll down here, then we have instance type. Means what do you mean by instance type now? Any idea what is this T2 micro? I mean, even you guys have used T2 micro, right?
It is coming from t-shirt size.
What do you mean by t-shirts?
It will represent t-shirt size micro, medium, large. This is the size of the
Instance size, but it is yeah, kind of t-shirt size, but not exactly. So T2 micro, if you see this, let me click on compare instance types. Okay, so here we have 750 plus instance types available in Amazon EC2. Okay, so here if you see T2 micro, the reason why as of now we are using is this is something which is freely available, means free tier EC2. We don't want to create some billing for our accounts, right? So we don't want to end up seeing some 2000 or 3000 bills on our AWS account. So that's the reason we are trying to use T2 micro. And if you see this, whenever you, for example, you want to purchase one mobile phone or one laptop, so what will be the basic requirement from your end? When someone asks you what kind of laptop you guys are looking, so what will be your requirement?
we will tell computer properties, memory, RAM, sorry, hard disk, OS.
It will be
Basically, we talk about the storage, processors, and everything.
Yeah. So our requirement will be kind of, I need i5 or I need i7 or 16 GB of RAM, right? So instance type is also similar thing. Here we are deciding what should be the number of core of CPUs, what should be the RAM for us, what should be the volume for us. I mean the hard disk drives. Okay, so in this case here we can see T1 micro, and this is the capacity. This will support 1 core of CPU and 0.5 GB of RAM. As of now in our laptops it's around 8 GB or 16 GB what we are seeing, right? So in EC2 also we can select which particular instance type we want to use. Okay, so we have T2 nano, 1 GB, 0.5 GB of core of RAM. Okay, and for example, if you want to use a kind of 8 core of CPUs and 32 GB of RAM, then you can use T2 2x large. Okay, so that depends upon your requirement, what should be the capacity of your instance. So similarly, we have T families. Okay, T families, it starts with T1, T2, T3, and then we have A families. Okay, A1, A1, 4 dot large, A1 metal, and then C families, compute families, and then we have M families. Even if I'll go next page, third page, we can see M families. Fourth page, see, there are different type of families. T family, A family, C family, D family, M family. So the different, even we have differences in these families as well. See, if you see this C748X large image is having 192 core of CPUs and 384 GB of RAM. And it will support 50 GB of internet per second. As of now, we are having 100 Mbps of internet in our institute, right? So our laptops are supporting to that 100 Mbps only. If I'll put this router 50 GB of speed in my institute, that will not support to our laptops. So everything depends upon the kind of hardware what we have in our laptops. Okay. So similarly, we will be using any type of instances what we want to use. Okay. So in our case, we will be using T2 micro for now because only for testing purpose, this is okay for us. I mean, we can work around with these instances. Okay. Understood?
Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
Next,
Yes.
select instance, and then here if I see this key pair login means anyone if you want to connect to my instance, right, it should have one authentication. That's where we can create key pair. Okay, if suppose you have any key pair which has been already created, then it will be popping up in this way, or else you can create a new key pair. So what should be the key pair name? It can be anything, guys. Let me use first underscore server only. Okay, and then pem key and pp key. Okay, so it will support two type of keys. We can use any key, either .pem extension or .ppk. Create key pair. So what will happen the moment I have created key pair? It has been downloaded in my laptop, right? So if I'll open this, then we can find this key. So do not try to open this key, guys. Do not try to open this key. What will happen? This will be kind of encrypted key. This will get corrupted. Okay, this will get corrupted. Do not try to open this key with the help of this editor. If you want to really see what is there available in that key, go to git bash cat and first server. You can cat the key name. If you want to see the content, you can use cat command, but do not try to use VI editor or text editors and check the content, or else what will happen? Your key will be corrupted, and if the key is corrupted, then you will not be able to log into the server. Okay, and there is no option to download this key again. Means once it has been deleted, then we cannot retrieve this key. There is no option to backup this key. So always be careful in saving the keys. I mean, do not manipulate or do not try to open these keys. Understood?
So we have to create the instance again all over.
Yes. We have different way how to recover our instance, but there is no option to recover our key. Okay, we'll talk about that as well. For now, just focus on this key pair. So we need any key pair. So I have configured first server. This will help me to authenticate to my EC2 instance, right? And then we have something called network settings. Every EC2 there should be one public IP. We have used EC2s, right, in our previous sessions, and it was able to create some public IP and private IPs for us. So how that IPs are getting connected, from where that IPs are being associated to our EC2s. That is with the help of our networking configurations. Okay. So in our case, for now, I am ignoring this. I will be using default one because we haven't worked on VPC service, right? So once we have completed VPC, then you will understand this process. Okay. And here you can see no preference means default subnet in any availability zone. Yesterday, what we have learned? We have learned that we'll have a region and different availability zones. Let me just try to explore this. Let me edit this. Okay. Here it is asking which VPC you want to use. So I'm using the default one because this is the only one which is available in my North Virginia region. So I'm using the default one. And then it is asking for subnet means in North Virginia, we have these many availability zones means this is North Virginia region. Again in North Virginia region, we have different availability zones. For example, what are the names? Okay, here you can see US East 1A. 1A. Similarly, we can find 1B, and then we can find 1C, and then also we also have 1C, 1D, 1E, 1F. Means we have overall 5 availability zones. Means in North Virginia we have 5 different locations of our data center. So in which data center you want to launch your EC2? So that we can select from here. Means if you want to install this or launch your EC2 in US East 1, then it will go to North Virginia, and in North Virginia it will launch our instance in US East 1A region. If you are not selecting anything, then by default it will assign any region for us, or any availability zone for us. Okay, understood guys? What is subnet?
Sabir, can you repeat again?
For example, we are in our North Virginia region, right? So I'm trying to launch one EC2 in North Virginia region. In North Virginia region, again we have different availability zones. The name of the availability zone is 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, 1E, 1F. So in which availability zone you want to host your EC2, where it should be launched, that we are selecting in this subnet option. Okay.
Clear.
So if I am ignoring this as no preference, then AWS by itself choose any availability zone. If you want to have any preference, then you can select where you want to host your EC2. Okay, so for now I am ignoring this as no preference only. Okay, and then we have auto assign public IP, means it will assign one public IP to our EC2 instance. Guys, 1 second. Yeah, sorry. So it will help us to assign one public IP, because with the help of public IP only we will be connecting to our EC2, right? If there is no public IP, then we will not be able to connect to our VPC. Okay, so we will be enabling this option, and then we have something called firewall security group. What do you mean by firewall or security group? In the first, in the client server architecture, we have learned about firewalls, right? So what will do the firewall do? Firewall is a kind of software which will help us to check for the rules and send the traffic to us. Means any request who is trying to access our application. So in this case, what will happen is, so this is my EC2.
So what would be the difference between firewall and load balancer?
Load balancer is to distribute the load. Firewall is to check for the rules to who can access our instance.
All right.
So this is my instance, and behind my instance there is one security group. Okay, and this is a user. And from my laptop, I'm trying to access my EC2 SSH-I, and then for example test.pem. So this is how we are trying to access, right? And then EC2-user @ public IP. For example, the public IP is 192.168.0.0. Okay, so what will happen? This request will first travel to the firewall. Okay, and firewall will check for the port number 22, because SSH works on which port number? SSH works on which port number?
22.
Port number 22.
Yeah, so port number 22. So if port number 22 is allowed, then what will happen? The request will be redirected to the EC2. That's the reason initially we were saying connection timeout. because our security group was blocking the request. Understood? So security group will always try to protect our EC2. Means behind, I mean, first it needs to travel the request at the security group, and if the security group accepts, then only the request will be targeted to the EC2, redirected to the EC2. Okay. So now we can either create a new security group or we can use a default security group. So in my case, for now, I am trying to create one default security group. Okay, so this one, new security group, and I will name it as, or else, my security group. So every time I will not be creating one new security group, guys. Remember one thing, always make sure that, for example, you are trying to create 10 servers for production. So use the same key for 10 servers. For production environment, same key. For non-production environment, same key. Do not try to create new key each and every time, or else what will happen? End of the day, there will be 100 servers and 100 keys. So how will you identify which key should be used for which server? So always make sure that you are using the same key to provision multiple EC2 instances. Okay. And similarly, always make sure that you are only creating one security group and making sure your rules are being opened. Whatever rule you want to access, try to open them and use the same security group again and again. Do not create new security group every time, or else it will be very difficult for you to understand how many security groups are there and which security group is tagged to which EC2. Okay, this is one of the best practices what we should follow. Okay, and then I am writing a description allowing specific port numbers. Okay, and then here we have something called inbound security group rules, means which rule you want to add. So I'm using SSH rule, SSH, and then the port number is 22 anywhere, and then 0.0.0.0. Okay, so and then click on add security group rule. Sorry. So once this is done, then we are good with the security groups. And if I scroll down here, we can find the configure storage option, means what should be the volume to your EC2 hard disk drive. Storage is nothing but our hard disk drive. So what should be the hard disk drive for you? So for this EC2, for example, I want a kind of hard disk like 10 GB. So I will assign 10 GB of hard disk to my server, where I can store 10 GB of files. Now let us open this. So here I will be providing 10 GB of, sorry, I will be providing 10 GB as my size of hard disk. Okay, so if I'll click on file systems, just check this option. Okay, let me hide this. This is not required for now. If I'll open this, okay, so we have 10 GB of EBS storage. So this service is called as elastic block storages. We'll discuss separately about this service as well. Okay, and this is the mounting point to our server, and then volume type. So there are different type of volume types: GP2, GP3, I01, I02, Cloud HDD, HDD, magnetic, standard. What are these options? Why do we have these many options? Currently, we are using our laptops, right? So what is your hard disk, whether it is HDD or SSD?
SSD.
SSD. So what is the difference between SSD and HDD?
HDD is a slow memory, SSD is a fast.
So what do you mean by IOPS then? Someone,
Hard disk is mainly used for the storage and SSD used for the processor to run smoothly
No, yeah.
along with the storage.
SSD is also hard disk only. EBS means elastic block storage. Okay, here we have HDD, SSD, and then magnetic. Mainly three type of hard disk drives. HDD means hard disk drive. SSD means
Solid state drive.
Solid
solid
state.
state drive, and then magnetic drives. So what is the difference? The difference will be, if you'll see this, if I am selecting SSD GP2, here it is 100 by 3000 IOPS. Okay, so if I am selecting GP3, the IOPS has been changed. And if I am selecting cold HDD, so this is not, I mean, this should be at least 125 GB. Okay, and if I am selecting HDD, okay, if I'm selecting
Input
HDD,
output operation time, I think per
yes,
seconds.
yeah. So if I'm selecting magnetic, okay, so basically not applicable. So this is nothing but the IOPS is nothing but input and output. Means, for example, if you are using HDD laptop, your memory is nothing, I mean your storage is, your hard disk is not related to HDD. And if you are trying to plug in one pen drive and copy some files, it might take 10 minutes of time to copy 1 GB of files. If it is SSD, then it will take only 6 minutes to copy same 1 GB of file. If it is magnetic, it will take 3 GB of time to copy the files. The difference is because of the input and output speed of that particular process. Okay, if HDD, this is very low in terms of pricing. For SSD, the pricing is higher. For magnetic, the pricing is also higher. So that depends upon how much fast your EC2 performance should be. Okay, understood? So currently, most of the laptops we are using SSDs. Earlier, when we used to be in BTech and all, right, so we used to use HDD. We used to have a kind of 500 GB of hard disk drive. Now it is 256 GB of SSD, and the performance has been much faster comparing to that of HDD. So this will help us to operate our process, I mean input and output, to copy any files or to execute any process, right? So EBS will help us with certain kind of operations. Understood? And this is a kind of storage only. This is used only to store our data. So in our case, because we are using free tier and it is a kind of testing server, right? So I will be using GP2 only. And then here we have something called delete on termination. Means if you have deleted your EC2, then this volume should also get deleted. I don't want to keep this volume. In this case, you can enable this. If your requirement is, if you are deleting your EC2 and the volume should be available, then you can use no. Okay, so that's up to you how you want to configure this. And then if I click on advanced details and if I scroll down, here we have something called purchasing option. This is very important, guys. This will be asked in interviews. What is the purchasing options available in EC2? Here we can see something called spot instances. Okay, so how many type of purchasing options are available? How many type of purchasing options are available in EC2?
Spot reserved.
Guys, open your books, open that interview Q&A, then you will find all the answers. Okay, so we have on demand, we have reserved, and we have spot instances. This will be asked in interviews for sure. Spot instances. So we have three different type of purchasing options. Means even when we are trying to launch one EC2, right? So This is what happening in the background. We are trying to use any one purchasing option. Now, why do we have three different options to launch one EC2? What is the difference between them? What is the benefit as a end user I can get from AWS? Any idea? So we have three type of purchasing options. The major difference is, for example, assume that if for on-demand instance we are paying 100 rupees per day, for example. Okay, this is just an example, guys. For example, for on-demand instances we are paying 100 rupees per day. Reserve instances, it will be 72% less than on-demand. Means we will be paying 38 rupees per day. Same EC2 with same 1 GB of same T2 micro, same 1 GB of core and 1 GB of memory and 10 GB of volume. We are paying 100 rupees if I am using on demand. If I am using reserve instances, we are paying 38 rupees. Spot instances, we are paying only 10 rupees per day. Means here we can see a variation of 72% in price. Here we are seeing the variation of 90% in price. Understood now? What is the difference between these three instances? So the difference is in terms of the pricing. Instance capacity is same, everything is same. Only in terms of pricing, it is very cheap if we are using spot instances. It is somewhat better if you are using reserve instances. And on demand is always, I mean, it will have a stable price. We are paying 100 rupees per day. Now, apart from price, do we have any difference, or which instance we are trying to launch as of now? We have been using EC2 from last 2 to 3 days, right? So what was the instance type we were using? I mean, what was the purchasing option we were using?
Spot
Saving plan.
instance.
Which one?
Saving plan.
It's a reserved, I think. Already reserved.
No. So
Spot
let us talk about that. So we were using on-demand instances. Basically, on-demand instance means the way we are trying to launch. I mean, based upon my requirement, if I'll go to EC2 service and launch one instance, that category comes under on-demand instances. So whatever we are trying to use is nothing but on-demand instances. Understood? We will launch one EC2 based upon our requirement. Okay. So whatever even you guys have used, even I am trying to launch now, it's nothing but on-demand instance only. Okay. And when we talk about reserve, so how can we reserve these instances? Means we will purchase these instances from Amazon. We'll purchase these instances from Amazon in bulk. For example, I have got one project and I need 10 servers. What I will do, I will contact AWS and I will reserve some instances. Why? Because if I'll reserve, because I'm aware of my requirement, means I need 10 instances for my project. So I will ask AWS to provide 10 instances for specific period of time, means for 6 months. For 6 months, I need EC2 with Linux image, T2 micro, 1 core of CPU and 1 memory and 10 GB of storage. So what AWS will do, they will provide us 10 servers for 6 months. Whether you are using it or whether you are not using it, you need to pay the amount. Okay. So we go for reserve instances when we have a bulk requirement for specific period of time. So generally companies who are working on projects, what they will do, Instead of using on demand, they will use reserve instances. They will purchase these instances from AWS. Got it?
Yes.
So in
Yes.
our case, we are not going to purchase any reserve instances because we might not use after 2 months of this training, right? So we will be using on demand only because as per our demand, we'll try to launch one EC2. And then we have something called spot instances. What do you mean by spot instance? Spot instance will help us with bidding. I mean, spot instances can be purchased based on bidding. Means we need to bid for this particular instance. For example, you need this instance, right? So what you will do, you will be bidding per hour. I will be paying $0.05 per hour or $0.10 per hour or $1 per hour to AWS. Based upon the bidding, if your bid is pretty good, then you will get one instance from AWS. There are a lot of risk factors when we are using spot instances. What are the risk factors? For example, if you are using on demand, right? So that will be always available for you unless and until you terminate that instance. Okay. So on demand, you can spin up after 1 hour, you can shut down or terminate. That's up to you. Whereas reserve instances, if you have purchased 10 instances and you have only used for 1 hour and you have kept it for 6 months, still you are going to pay for 6 months because that instances has been reserved for you only, for your account. Okay. And whereas for spot instances, what will happen? From where they are going to allocate? For example, there is a kind of 100 GB of RAM and 100 core of CPUs left at data center. Means in North Virginia, in any of these data centers, if some hardware is left over, means no one is using that. In AWS, this is happening in the background, guys. We cannot see this. So what will happen in that case? AWS will reduce the price and they will provide spot instances. Means from this leftover hardware, we will be able to get our spot instances at very cheaper price. So what will happen? Yes.
Sir, is there any particular time period for any instance?
No. That's up to you how much you want to use. You can use 24/7, 365 days.
So depends on the usage, we just pay the bill, that's it, sir.
Yes. Okay. So spot instances, how they are providing? They are providing with the leftover hardware at the data center. So similarly, we see these offers, right? Amazon sale offer, or we can find a lot of offers in DMart or Reliance, right? How? They will be providing in bulk. They'll provide a lot of offers and they want just to sell them. Instead of keeping that idle, they want to rotate the market. Okay, so in spot instances, what will happen? Based upon the leftover hardware, they will provide some instances and we need to bid for that instance. So for example, I have bidded $1 for 1 hour. What AWS will do? AWS, okay, if my bid is okay, then it will provide one EC2 for me from this particular hardware. Okay, and what is the risk behind spot instances? For example, Swati came and Swati bidded for $2 for 1 hour. Then we might lose our EC2, means that will get terminated within a short notice period. Means we'll get one email that your spot instances is going to terminate within 2 minutes. That's it. They will only provide the time of 2 minutes. Within 2 minutes, if you want to use some backup or if you want to transfer any files, right, then we need to do that, or else we are going to lose our EC2. That's how it will work. It will work based upon the demand in the market. If there are a lot of people who are trying to use spot instances and the hardware is very less, right, then AWS will fluctuate this pricing. We are out of the bid and it will allocate to Swati. And after, for example, after 2 days, if Manasa came in and Manasa has bidded for $3 for same category of instance, then Swati's instance will get terminated and it will allocate a new EC2 or hardware to Manasa. So we should be very careful when using spot instances, and spot instances are not recommended for the production. Spot instances can be used only for development and testing environments. Apart from that, spot instances will get terminated at any point of time. So we cannot store any data, means it should be stateless application. So we have, for any application, we have two categories again: stateless and stateful applications. In simple terms, stateless means not storing any data. Okay, stateful means storing data. Okay, data in the sense any of the user data or an application is trying to store any data, right? So always we cannot use spot instances for stateful applications. Why? Because if our EC2 has been terminated, then we are losing all our data. And spot instances are only preferred for development and testing environments. Understood the difference now? This will be asked in interviews, guys.
So I have a doubt here.
Yes.
So where I can select my instance type, whether it is reserved. Where I can select my instance type,
No.
whether it is reserved.
The one what we are trying to select is on demand. I mean, this process what I am trying to use is on demand. So you cannot select on demand or you want spot or reserve. Okay. So whatever we are trying to do is on demand, and if you want purchasing option as spot, then you can select this option in advanced details. Okay, and you can customize this. I mean, you can go here and you can set your maximum price. So how much price you want to set? For example, $1. Okay, and then one time or persistent. So you can select spot instances, and whatever we are trying to use is on demand. If you want to use reserve, then you need to contact AWS. So here we have AWS support, right? So you can find the AWS support option. You need to contact them and they will help you to purchase the instances for you. Okay.
So the spot instance will not even give us option to the counter our old bidding. It will just directly transfer the instance to
It will transfer the instance based upon the traffic. That's it. Based upon the demand. As per the demand, what will happen? The market will get rise, right? So
Right.
if there is a lot of demand in fuel, what will happen? These government guys, they will be changing the prices to 100 rupees or 120 rupees. So similar thing is happening in AWS as well. So always, as part of testing, I mean, as part of learning, we are using on demand. This will be asked in interviews for sure, guys. What are the different type of purchasing options? So we have on demand. Yes.
So if I bid one spot instance for 1 hour for like $2, and if another one more person asks it for $3, I have 1 hour time, right, sir? So does that easy means that service support terminated, or I have that 1 hour time completely? After that, it is going to terminate.
No. For example, you have bid for $1 for 1 hour of time. So after 1 hour, it will get terminated for sure. I mean, you have used only for no. Sorry. What will happen is $1 for 1 hour means if you are using 10 hours, then $10. For example, all the sudden the demand has been high in the spot instances, means a lot of people are trying to use spot instances and they are trying to bid $2. Then within 2 minutes of time, your instance will get deleted.
Even though I have 1 hour also.
Yeah.
Okay.
There is a lot of risk in spot instances. Even if you have completed 1 hour, that's up to you how much time you want to run. For example, you have bid for $1 for 1 hour. You have used 1 hour 30 minutes. And you have terminated that instance. Then you will be charged only for that 1 hour and 30 minutes only. Means $1.50. Well, I don't know what we call in dollar. Paisa and what. Okay, so that's how it will work. Cents, right? Yeah, right.
Cents.
$1.50. Okay. Understood. So this is what was happening when you guys were trying to launch EC2. We were just following EC2. No, this is the story in the background. We are unable
Now
to
it
see
is charging
these
to us, sir.
changes.
Now it is charging now. Like as
It
we
will
are
charge
using
based.
on.
It will charge based upon on-demand pricing. This
Okay.
pricing.
Now we are using charging for us.
We are using on-demand only. So we are using free tier. So what is happening is in free tier, it will give you a specific period of hours for us. I mean, I'm not exactly sure how much hours it is providing, but it's around 200, 300 hours of free usage. After that, it will start billing to our EC2.
Where we can see that, sir?
We can see that in the pricing option, guys. So AWS EC2 pricing options. We'll have a lot of documentation. See Amazon. Here we can see pricing options. On-demand pricing. Okay. So which one? AWS, which region? I'm using North Virginia, right? So just select this. Which operating system? Linux. Instance type is our general purpose. T2 is nothing but general purpose. We have compute optimized, memory optimized, accelerated computing, storage optimized. So these are the different type of EC2s. I mean T families, C families, M families, right? So compute optimized means compute in the sense it will use lot of memory, lot of RAM. Compute in the sense it will use lot of hard disk storages. Memory optimized means it will use lot of RAM for our application. So this depend upon the kind of application we are trying to host. Okay, and then what we have, core of CPU is 1. So T2 micro. So it is on demand hourly rate is $0.0116 per 1 hour. This is the charges. Okay. If you are using, for example, say if you are using M7 medium, then it will be this pricing. Okay. I will share this in group. You can check. So always make sure that you are even aware of the pricings as well. How much it is costing for 1 hour. Okay. And then
It will be different for all.
Sorry?
It will be different for all the services.
Yeah, it will be different for EC2, it will be different for S3, it will be different for ECS. It depends upon service to service, what service we are trying to use. This is something only for your EC2. If you are using S3, then S3 pricing will be different. Okay. So for now, I will be ignoring these options. And then even we have the shutdown behavior. For example, if I am trying to shut down my instance, what should happen? Whether it should shut down or it should delete. So we can control this option as well. And also we can use termination protection. So what do you mean by termination protection? If I enable this, no one can delete my EC2. What will happen? It will enable this protection, and if someone is trying to delete my EC2, still it will not be deleted. So that's how we can protect our instance as well. Okay, and then we have something called monitoring. This will ignore for now. We'll focus on monitoring in a separate session. Okay, and here if I'll scroll down, then we have something called tenancy. This is also important, guys. So we have different type of tenancy models: shared, dedicated host. So what do you mean by tenancy? Run a shared hardware instance, run a dedicated instance, launch the instance on a dedicated host. So let us see.
Tenancy basically means we are giving the rent for it, right? Taking it for rent.
Yes. So if you'll see this image, you'll understand. Okay. So here, For example, how many users are using AWS across the globe? There might be lot of users who are trying to use across the globe. If suppose I'm using shared tenancy model, means run a shared hardware instance. So what will happen? Shared tenancy. Okay, so shared tenancy, what will happen is, for example, let me get it this one. So this is my hardware stack in my data center. Okay, so this is my hardware stack in data center, and there are different hardwares which are being configured. Okay, for example, I'm trying to launch one EC2. So what will happen? This is my hardware stack. So where EC2 will be launched over here. Okay, and for example, Shiva is also trying to launch one EC2. So Shiva EC2 will be launched here. Okay, and then for example, Obed is trying to launch Obed EC2. And if some XYZ user is trying to launch, then he might launch his EC2 over here. And for example, Lidal is trying to launch EC2, Lidal EC2. So what is happening on one particular hardware stack? It is being shared across different accounts or different users. Means in one room, there are four different people. It's a kind of four sharing room in hostels, what we generally see. And the rent will be very low. Okay. So whenever we use shared hardware, so what is happening? Different users are trying to use the same hardware stack, and we are trying to launch our EC2s. Okay. And for example, if I am using run a dedicated instance, means for example, this is my EC2. For example, I have shut down my EC2. And I'm trying to launch EC2 after 1 day. So what will happen? It is not mandatory that it will launch on the same hardware stack. Again, it will not try to launch over here. So the moment I have deleted my EC2 or terminated, so what AWS will do? AWS might assign some other EC2 over here. Means some XYZ user, for example, Swati EC2 has been launched here. So that's how the shade will be working. If suppose I have configured dedicated, right? So even after restart, this will be available here only. Means I will be only launching here. Again, my EC2 will be launched on the same hardware stack. There will be no difference. This is something what we are unable to see from here. But this is how it is working in the background, and this has been completely managed by AWS. Okay. And then we have one more thing called launch this instance and a dedicated host. Means this is nothing but your host. For example, what I am trying to do is I am trying to use dedicated host over here. These are different slots. Okay, if I am trying to launch one EC2, for example, Linux EC2 is been launched here. For example, I am trying to launch Ubuntu. So again, it will launch in the same hardware stack. And these two spaces will be left over for me only. And the billing will be different as well. Means only I can launch my instances on this hardware stack. That's how it is been dedicated to the specific user. No one can launch their instance on this hardware stack. Understood? So we have three different type of models. One is shared hardware, dedicated instance, and then dedicated host. Kind of four sharing, two sharing, and single sharing. Okay. Tenancy, basically tenancy means someone said right, tenant means rent. Right, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
And then if I scroll down, then we have something called user data. This is very important. What do you mean by user data? For example, while launching this instance, while launching this EC2, you want to create some application. I mean, you want to launch one Apache, or you want to launch one Tomcat, or you want to install Git or Java. Then you can pass that script over here. For example, I am trying to pass one script. sudo -y install httpd. Okay, see, I'm trying to install httpd, and then echo hello installed using, this is my message, right? Using user data. Where is the deployment location? Where www html/index.html, this file, right? So I'm trying to install httpd and then trying to create one text file, I mean HTML file in this particular specific location, and then sudo systemctl start httpd. So what will happen while trying to launch this instance? It will also try to create our httpd Apache. Means it is easing our task. I mean, after launching, then again I need to connect, and again I need to execute the same set of commands. Instead of that, we can pass our scripts in the user data section. This generally we called as bootstrapping. User data or bootstrapping. Okay, this will help us to execute a particular script. Any script, it can be any installation or it can be any Linux commands, anything. Okay, so yeah, and then if suppose you want to create multiple instances, same instances you want to create 3, so you can change the number as 3, number of instances 3, then it will try to create 3 instances for you with same requirement. So in our case, as of now it is only 1, so I will be using 1 only. Okay, for example, while launching, and this script whatever we have passed is wrong, this is not correct one, there is some mistake in the script. So what will happen? Will it launch or will it ignore?
It will show error.
No. What will happen is, whenever we pass anything in the bootstrapping, and if something is not working in this script, then what will happen is our EC2 will ignore this and it will just create one server for us. Okay, so this will ignore these steps and just provision one server. If everything is okay, then only it will install, or else it will be ignored. Okay, now if I scroll down, I think we have used almost all the options, and then click on launch instance. See, now what is this trying to do? It is trying to launch our instance, and you can see the launch log as well. Initializing request, creating security groups, creating security group rules, launch initiation succeeded. So this is my instance ID. This is the unique ID for my account. And if I click on instances, then we can see our first server is been getting provisioned. This is the instance ID and the status is pending, means it will take a couple of time to start, and the type is T2 micro, and here we can see something called status check. This is blank. If I refresh this, okay, this is very important guys. See, if you see this initializing, and if I refresh this, this is very important. Okay, and alarm status no monitoring, so ignoring. Here if you see this, we have used as no preference, right? So it has used US East 1C, US East 1C as my data center. Okay, and then this is my public DNS, means public domain name server, and this is my public IP, and we have something called elastic IP which is not allocated, so ignore this. IPv6 is also not allocated, ignore this as well. And we can see my security group, and the key name what we are trying to use is first server, and this is the time period what we have launched. Okay, and if I'll scroll it here again, and if I'll refresh this, we can see it is still initializing, means what is happening in the background. Okay, so if I'll select this now, and if I click here, then we can see all the details related to our server. See, instance ID, all the details whatever I have shown here, everything is been shown here as well. See, this is my AMI ID. I means by using this AMI, I have created my instance. Okay, we can see all the details of our EC2. See, tenancy model is default. Okay, so if I refresh this again, it is still initializing only. So what will happen is it will do 2 by 2 check. It should print as 2 by 2 checked. So whenever we try to create one EC2, it will also do a couple of checks to launch this EC2 in the background. Means wherever it is trying to launch, whether this is trying to launch on AWS, this host or this host machine, it will perform some specific checks. And if all the checks are successfully done, then only it will be launched. This is also happening in the background as well. 2 by 2 checks, we call it as 2 by 2 checks. If any of these health checks are failed, then we can see our instance is not running because there might be some failure at the hardware level, or there might be some issue with the internet as well. There might be issue with the networking as well at the back end, I mean at the data center level. So we cannot do anything for that case. What we can do is just click instance state reboot. Then it will try to start on some other stack. Okay. So if I'll refresh, it is still initializing only. By the way, it will be successful only. No need to worry about that. Okay. Now it's time for us to connect to our EC2. How to connect? How to connect to our EC2?
SSH.
Sorry?
SSH.
SSH.
SSH, right? SSH. Apart from that, do we have any other way to connect? Amani, why you are sleeping, Amani?
Directly go to connect.
Am I looking like a fool here? కుర్చీసిరాపు ఎవరో పట్టుకుంటారు అందరికి బయట ఎలగొట్టు పట్టుకుంటుంటే. Guys, I'm trying to cover every detail for you guys, and someone is sleeping over here. Okay, so how to connect to this EC2? So by using SSH command. Okay, so let me go to my EC2. Sorry, let me open my git bash. So where is my PIM key? My PIM key is created in or downloads. I mean, it is in download. So I can open the git bash over here on this specific location. Okay, in downloads, and then I can execute the command called ssh-i and then the PIM key. And then what is the username? Username is default is EC2-user at the rate, and then our public IP. So if I copy this public IP and paste here, then we can connect to our EC2 instance successfully. See, we have connected to our EC2 successfully. So apart from connecting, what we have did, we have installed our HTTP, right? So let us check. Sudo systemctl status HTTPD. We can see this is also running successfully. And if I'll go to cd where www.html and if I'll do cat index.html, we can see the file whatever we have created. Means our user data also got successfully created. Okay. Apart from this, we can also use, if you click on connect option, and here you can see the command to connect. This is nothing but our public DNS. So we can use either IP address or host name, right? So this is nothing but our host name. Okay. Apart from this, if you click on EC2 instance connect, here also you can, if you click here, it will open one web page for you. Means it will create one terminal for you. But this is not recommended, guys, because based upon your access, you might not see this when working on the project. So do not try to use this. But this option is also available. Okay. And apart from this, now let us try to access our application. I mean our HTTPD. So if I'll copy this and paste here, what will happen? It should access my web page, but it is not running. Here we can see the status is running. It is successfully deployed, but here we are unable to access. So why we are unable to access?
Port number, I think we have to give port number.
Yeah, right. So we have opened only one port. It's in the firewall, I mean security group. If you select this instance and security, and if I scroll down here we can find the security group, whatever we have assigned to my instance. And if I click here we have something called inbound rule and outbound rules. Inbound rule means incoming, outbound rule means outgoing. Okay, so if I click on edit inbound rule, here we can see only SSH is configured. 0.0.0.0 means anyone, everywhere, everyone can connect to this instance who has the PEM key. Okay, now I need to add one more rule. My rule will be TCP, custom TCP. Port number will be 80, and I will select anywhere IPv4 and click on save. And now if I'll refresh this page, here we can see our application is been accessible now because of the firewall. So this is what you guys were facing issues initially. Clear now?
For each and every port number, we have to assign like that.
Yes, yes, yes. So for every port number, you should come to edit inbound rules. What port number you want to assign? For example, 8080. So you can use as custom protocol. Sorry, not custom. We can use. So for HTTP, we can use this. I mean, instead of, sorry, this one done right. So we can use. Where is our default one? Custom TCP, and you can select this 8080. Sorry, which port number you want to open? 8080. Yeah, and we can provide 8080 and then anywhere, and then you can pass. Or else, as of now, only for testing purpose, you can select this and you can click on all traffic. Then what will happen? It will open all the ports. It will open SSH, it will open HTTPD, it will open HTTPS, it will open 8080, 8090, 91, 92, 93, all the ports. Okay, so that's up to you how you want to define this. Okay. So now we have successfully launched one EC2. For example, we got one requirement to change this type instance type, means from T2 micro to T2 large. What you can do? You can simply just select instance, stop instance. Okay, and also here you can see 2x2 check fast. So this is what I was talking about. Means all the background health checks, networking, IP, and then internet connectivities, everything has been passed in the data center, and then my instance has been successfully launched. Okay, so what we can do is, once this is stopped, you can select instance state, sorry, actions, and then instance settings. Here we will enable this. I mean, you can find this option. As of now, it is grayed out only because it is still running. So once this is stopped, actions, instance settings, change instance type, and from T2 to what should be your size. So you can select your size and click on apply, and then try to start your instance again. Start, and then you can see a different type of instance. Okay, you can change the size of your instance as well, but in order to change, you need to shut down and then make the changes.
If I change the instance type, will my stock will be changed or
The billing will be also get changed.
stock allocated to me in the
The
server.
capacity will be changed. Your voice is not clear. The capacity will be basically, if you are changing instance times, your core of CPUs and RAM will be changed and your billing will be changed. But your security group, your firewalls, your VPC, everything will be same.
The
Okay.
stock will be changed or will be changed.
Stopping instance will not generate any billing for you. So that's the reason I'll always recommend you to, once done with your work, either stop or terminate. Do not run the instances unnecessarily, or else you will lose your AWS account within 1 month of time only. If you are stopping as per your requirement after training, then you can use this account at least for 6 months for learning purpose. Okay, so make sure you are stopping all the instances. Understood?
If you want
So-
to change kernel means we have to create another
If
new
you want to
instance, or
change
we
the
can
operating
change.
system, then it is not possible. You need to create one new instance.
Sir, how can I check my storage left in my EC2? How to
What
check
is the
that storage?
command to check for the storage?
The
What is the
CPU.
command to? Not CPU. CPU is something related to your memory. What is the command to check the storage?
du-hk.
du-h.
Yeah, we have df-h, du-sk. So you can execute, you can log into this instance. Okay, you can log into the instance and you can execute df. Then you can see the space, how much space is left. Okay. And for example, if you want to terminate, select and click on terminate. Okay. So apart from this, for example, now we have missed our PEM key. I mean, this PEM key has been deleted. Then you cannot log into your EC2. That is not possible. For example, let me try to do one more thing. Okay. So for example, I don't want to use this PEM key each and every time. Because what will happen if suppose Pallavi has joined my team and I want to provide access to her, to this particular user. Let me start my instance first. Okay, I'm trying to start my instance. For example, Pallavi has joined my team. So what I will do to Pallavi, I will ask Pallavi, to log into this particular instance and try to set up Git or some XYZ tool in my instance. So what she will be asking? Pallavi, what you will be asking?
For your credentials, sir.
Yeah, not my credentials, basically the server credentials.
Yes.
Okay, so what credentials you will be asking? Public IP is one thing. Username. And then the key which is used to connect, right? So this will be the details what generally anyone will be asking to connect. So for example, this is my public key. So if suppose I have given the key and the username and the public key to Pallavi, so what Pallavi will be doing? She will open Git bash and she will try to log in, right? Pallavi is a junior in my team. So what will happen? She will log in, she will switch to root user and she will do some unnecessary operations and she will destroy my EC2. And this was something related to production. Because I have given the access to my PEM key, right? So I have given access to the PEM key and she has got the complete control on the production server. So I don't want Pallavi to access by using the PEM key, or else, for example, assume that this server is something related to development environment. So Pallavi can access root user and she can do anything. But I don't want Pallavi to access other servers. For example, if she got this PEM key, there are 10 servers, production servers as well. There are 10 production servers as well, which are using same PEM key. And I don't want Pallavi to get access to them. So how can I protect that? Or how can I provide access only to this server to Pallavi? I don't want to share my PEM key, but how still I should provide the access to her.
Passwordless authentic.
We can create a IAM user and
IAM user
can
and
give
all
it.
is IAM user and all we can create, but still she will not be able to access to this EC2 unless there is the PEM key. Someone said it right. I think Rose.
SSH
Yeah, we should
authentication.
create passwordless authentication. So what I will do, I will ask Pallavi to create one passwordless authentication and she will be sharing the public key with me. So what I will do, copy, paste, dot public. Okay, so she will be sharing. This is Pallavi's public key. So what I will do, I will copy this public key and then I will log into the instance. Okay, and then cd.ssh and then I will open authorized underscore keys and I will paste the public key what Pallavi has shared. Okay, and then I will save this instance. What happened? I have shared this key in the authorized underscore keys. So now what I will tell, I will provide the PEM key. I mean, instead of providing the PEM key, I will share the EC2, I mean the username and the public IP to Pallavi. So now if she'll hit enter, then what will happen? She will be able to log in without any PEM key. Understood? So this is how I am trying to protect my other instances.
So is there any restriction through the unauthorized access?
I didn't understood this. I mean, yeah, we can also restrict that. For example, now Pallavi was able to successfully log in, but if you switch to sudo su-, she got the root access as well. Again, she can delete anything. I was able to protect my 10 production servers, but still this server is not protected. In this case, what I can do?
You can give the access of GUI with the restrictions.
No GUI is possible. We cannot do that. So what I will do is I will try to create one user called user at Pallavi. Okay, and then I will create one password for the user called Pallavi. Pallavi, what password should I use? DevOps @123. Okay, DevOps @123. Okay, so I have created one username and password. Okay, now what I will tell Pallavi that, let me exit. So I will tell Pallavi that this is your user ID and this is the public key. So what she will do, she will try to log into that particular account. Hit enter. Now let us see what is happening. See, permission denied. I have created user successfully, right? But still this user is unable to log in. Why?
Because public key is
security
in that.
IPs.
Okay, for example, public key is missing is what was said, right? Okay, for example, assume that I have given the public key, I mean the keygen as well, and then still she is trying to access now. Still she is facing same issue.
Check the security groups, I think.
Why security group? Already it is working for EC2 user, right? The reason is by default AWS will only allow EC2 user to log in into the servers. It will not allow any other user names to log in. That's the reason. For example, see here, instead of Pallavi, if I use EC2 user, hit enter, then this will be able to successfully log in. See, same command, only with the help of different username, it is not working. Why? Because EC2 user is a default user and AWS will only allow this user to log in. Understood? Earlier, what we have seen in Ubuntu servers, in virtual machines, we were able to log in with any user. But in AWS, it will only allow EC2 user. I mean, whatever the default user was available, it will only allow. Now my requirement is to make sure that any user can log into my server. Not only EC2 user, apart from EC2 user, Pallavi should also able to log in. So for that case, what we can do is, we have one file /, let me switch to sudo user first. Okay, find /name SSSD.
Is there possible to set using sudo's file? We can give permission from there.
See, sudo's file is to add sudo privileges. Our use case is no user is able to log into my server. Okay, so because of the default configuration provided by AWS in this particular file. So if suppose if I have configured cat, here we can see something called, where is the permissions? Here we can see password authentication as no. And here we have one more value called password authentication as yes, but this is commented. That's the reason it is not getting executed. So what is happening? Because of this line, no user is able to access except EC2-user. So this is how they have protected their server. So what I need to do? I need to
You
make
need to
this
add
as
the hash.
yes. Yeah, we can add hash over here and remove the hash over here. Okay, so let me try to make the changes. Vi, there is a location sshd_conf. Okay, and if I scroll down, I will just make the changes as yes. So that's it. Okay, so if I'll exit now, and if I'll exit from this server, and if Pallavi is trying to access now with the help of M key, she will be able to successfully log in. What happened?
I think in the comment also we have to change.
No, let me again just check. Share screen and then cat etc sshd_config pipe grep password yes. Password authentication is not available or what? Okay, let me try to cat this. Okay, and if I scroll up, yeah, password authentication is yes. I mean, comment is not recommended, guys. That is commented, so it will not get executed. So what happened is, okay, let me try to restart that SSH service. Okay, so after changes, in order to apply that changes, we need to restart the SSH changes. Okay, so systemctl restart SSHD. Okay, done. Now let me exit. Let me exit. Now if I'm trying to access with the user called Pallavi, let us see. Hopefully, now see it is asking for password. Password is DevOps @123. If I hit enter, Pallavi can able to log in. So this is how you can create different user and provide access in AWS EC2. And now Pallavi has got the limited access, means no sudo access and all. So my server is very secure. Okay, instead of sharing my credential, we'll create Pallavi's credentials and we'll share with her only. Okay, understood?
Yes.
Yes.
So,
Yes, Sabir.
Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, original server is safe.
Yeah.
So it's not necessary to provide the PEM key also, right? We can just copy
Yeah,
the
we can
public
copy
key.
the SSH public key and provide.
Right.
పల్లవి చూడు ఎంత మందికి ఎంత డౌట్లు ఉన్నాయి నీ పైన ఎవరు no one wants to provide you the PMK.
Yes, sir.
Saber
Even
bhai,
you
instead
also.
of using
Yeah.
without .pem key, directly SSH username Pallavi @IP address. It's going to log in or not?
Let us see.
No, we didn't provide the authorized
We
keys.
have added
Public.
that.
Yeah, let us see what will happen. DevOps at the 123. See logged in.
Because we have
Yes.
given the
You have already passed the passwordless authentication, so it is working. So no need of PEM key. Acha, we came to the really good point. For example, my PEM key is deleted. Can we able to log in? Yes.
Yes.
We have
Yes.
already passed the passwordless authentication. If there is no passwordless authentication, then we cannot log into the server. Okay, by default, we cannot log in. I mean, we cannot log in. Only we can log in if we have passwordless authentication only. Okay.
So the public key will be same throughout the instance until we terminate it, or will it change?
It will change. For example, if you have shut down your server and after 1 hour you have started, then the public key will get changed. But it doesn't impact anything. The keys will be same. Even if your public key has been 230, right? So still it will work for you.
So we should
Okay.
keep on adding the public keys, or should we leave the one
No,
public key?
no, we should just check which public key is available, copy and try to log in. That's it. No need to make any changes. And even if you don't want to change the public key, right? I mean, your public key should always be same. In this case, we have an option called, here we have something called, let me scroll this side. Okay, here we have something called elastic IP. Elastic IP means we are paying for this IP, and this IP is static IP. This will not get changed until and unless you terminate your instance. Okay, instead of public IP. So whatever we are seeing, this is something which is provided by AWS. So if you shut down and start, then your IP will get changed. But if you configure elastic IP, then it will be same across
Unique IP.
Yeah, it will be a unique IP and it will be a static IP. These are dynamic IPs which are free of cost, and this is static IP which we need to pay to AWS. Okay. So this is what we are going to use in our projects. We don't want to rely on public IPs because that servers we are not going to stop for every 1 hour or 2 hours, right? So that will be same IP which will be used for months or days. Okay. So now let us come to point. So for example, we haven't created any keygen. I mean, we haven't used any passwordless authentication. And I have lost my PEM key. So how can I recover that?
We can't recover it.
There might be some way, right? Because I will be losing my application. We have deployed one static, this one hello installed using user data. So I will be losing my application. So there might be some way. So for example, if you have lost your PEM key and there is no passwordless authentication, then you cannot log in at any cost. You cannot log in at any cost. So what we can do is, you can select the server, click on click on actions, instance settings, or else images, and click on create image. Image is first server backup. Okay, first server backup is the description. I am trying to create one AMI now. So we have seen the option called my AMIs, right? So now I am trying to create my custom AMI. Okay, and then volume is 10 GB, same one, and scroll here and click on create image. So now see, currently creating AMI, this one from instance, this check that AMI status is available before deleting the instance or carrying out other actions related to this AMI. So what is happening? It is trying to create one instance from this particular server. Okay, so this is trying to create one AMI for us from this instance. So whatever was available in this server is available in this AMI. Okay, so it will take some time to load, and if you want to see this, you can find this in AMIs, and here you can see this first server backup. This is the AMI what I have created, and here if you see the status, it is still pending, means it will take couple of minutes to be available. Okay, so what is this? This is a kind of snapshot or backup. If you want to back up your instance, then you can take the snapshot. Okay, so this is how we are going to take backup to our AMIs. So what will happen? Whatever was available will be copied in this AMI, means our HTTP or Pallavi user, whatever I have did operations on my server will be copied in this particular AMI. When we try to play games, right? So after reaching level 1, what will happen? If you shut down your laptop, I mean the game, and if you try to play the same game again it will start from level 1, no, right? So it will try to start from level 2. That is also nothing but a point of time backup, a kind of snapshot what our application has did. That's the reason we will be able to move from level 2. So similarly, we can also take snapshots in our Amazon machine images, for our EC2s. So what we can do if we have lost our PEM key, we need to take the backup of our instance by creating one AMI. So it will take some time. So once done, so let us try to launch one new instance. Someone was trying to ask something.
Yeah, Sabir. If the PEM key is deleted, so before that, can we just go through the cat and or VI or copy the PEM key and save in another file or in another data, so that we will be able to, whenever we lose it, we can just add it to the file or the key with the same name, and can we access it again?
Yes, for example, this is your PEM key, right? So whatever,
Yes.
I mean, I'm trying to cat this PEM key. Okay, I'm trying to store in one file called nidal.pem. Okay, so this is my PEM key name now. Okay, and I will try to save everything. PEM key will not be worried about the name, it will be worried about the encrypted data. If the data is same, then it will work. Okay, nidal.pem is my new key. So now I'm trying to connect to the server. Instead of first PEM, I am trying to use nidal.pem. Hit enter. So it is asking for password. Yes, see, even for nidal.pem it is accessing. Only the content should be same. If the content is not same, it will not work.
So we can save the content any other way by for the tomorrow's back.
You can do that. Okay. So that's one way. What Nidal said, passwordless authentication is one way, and this is one way what I'm trying to show. Okay, it is trying to capture the status is still pending. Okay, and if I'll try to launch instance now, right? So let me click on launch instance. This will be a kind of name, will be a kind of backup server. Okay, and here you can select, instead of kickstart, we should select my AMIs owned by me. So see, first backup server, or else if I click here, you can find this my AMIs. Okay, so this is what I have created, right? My first server backup. So I will select this AMI. Okay, and then instance type, everything will be same. So now what I will do, I will try to create one more new key pair, because we have lost the previous key pair. Backup key server, and then create key pair, and then same networking. I will be using same security group, existing security group only, my security group. Okay, and 10 GB 10 GB launch instance. Now what happened, we have successfully launched our instance by using our custom AMI. So once we have launched this, we can try to connect to this instance. So let me just copy this. So what is the PEM key now? This time we have created a new PEM key because we have lost the old PEM key, right? What is my PEM key? My server, sorry, what is my PEM key? Backup server key. Okay, so what I will do, SSH-I backup server key at EC2-user @ this is my newly created server public IP. See this one. If you see this, this is my public IP to my backup server. Hit it. We are able to, or permission denied. Why? I mean, maybe this has been not yet launched. This is still initializing. Okay, that's the reason it has been denying the permission. Okay, so once this is launched, we can connect to our EC2 with new PEM key.
Sir, I think this problem not initializing. It will goes to the port number.
What fourth number?
Security group port number, sir.
No.
SSH.
No.
Not need. Okay.
No. Status checks are something which are happening at the data center level, not about security groups. It will take some time and it will spin up. Okay. So this is my EC2 backup. Let me try to log in again. If I'm trying to connect from this, let us see what is happening. Yeah, see now we were able to successfully log in. If I'll do cat etc psswd, we can see Pallavi user is already available. If I'll do systemctl status httpd, then we can see http is also available. If I'll do cat where www.html, sorry, cat and then english.html, then we can see this file is also available, right? So we have recovered our EC2. We were not able to recover our PEM key, but we got a way to recover our EC2. So this is how we can recover our EC2s. Understand? Yes. Guys, what happened? Looks like energy is very low today. I need 10 more minutes, guys.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So be patient. Wait for 10 more minutes. Have some patience, okay?
Sir, it is possible to fix to read user without using PEM key.
Sorry, Shiva, I didn't get your point.
Am
Is it?
I sir?
There is a lot of disturbance, Shiva. Try to switch off fan.
Is it
Yeah, Balu,
possible
you
to
can.
switch to root user without using PEM key?
Yeah, see, just now we have logged in with the help of root user only. For example, this is my server, right? Because we have opened that password authentication as yes, right?
Yes. Password
Ah,
authentication
so
was
it will,
if
so it will
Pallavi
allow.
is trying to switch to root user, she can
Yeah.
change everything in the server.
Yes, say root user, or if you want to use EC2 user, then you can use EC2 user. Any user is possible because we have opened that option. Yes.
Means anyone can access to the root user.
No, not anyone. Man. No. Pallavi doesn't have the sudo access, so she cannot switch to. For example, this was our previous server, right? So let me log in with the user called Pallavi. Okay. So now Pallavi want to switch to root user. Sudo su -, is the command. DevOps @123 is the password for Pallavi. See, Pallavi is not in the sudo file. This incident will be reported. Means Pallavi don't have access to sudo to switch user to root. So she will not be able to switch to root and she cannot do anything. Okay.
Okay, if we have only
Yes,
used EC2 user,
yes,
that will be
unless and
getting to the root user.
yeah. So she cannot execute any SU operation. Switch users is not accessible to her. Okay, only and unless and until I will add Pallavi in sudo's file, then only she can access, or else she cannot access.
Okay.
So we have successfully created our first server. So let me try to delete them because I don't want to create some building terminated. Okay, then we have also seen our custom AMI. How can we create our own AMI? Okay, so this is how we can use our EC2 option to create one server for us. So we have how many purchasing options? 3: on demand, reserved, and spot. How many type of instances are available? We have T2 families, we have C families, we have D family, we have M family. Okay, what is the difference? Some are compute optimized, some are memory optimized, some are traditional servers. So you need to check and explore the services as well. Okay, clear?
Yes,
Now,
Savindri.
similar service
Yes.
we have in Azure portal. It will not take much time for us basically because we have seen a lot of details in AWS, right? So you can map the details with this. Okay, so in Azure we have one service called virtual machines, VM. If I click here, then it will also ask us to launch one instance. See, create virtual machines, create, and then we have Azure virtual machine, create a virtual machine hosted by Azure. Means in AWS we are calling as EC2, now here we are calling as Azure. So let me click this and see, it is the free trial subscription. Basically this is a free account, right? So it's a free trial subscription, and then we have a concept called resource group. What do you mean by resource group? For example, in Azure, what will happen is, for example, this is the test resource group. Okay, and you have created 5 instances. So all the 5 instances will be available in this test resource group only. Basically, this will help us to manage or collaborate all the servers related to our application. So all the servers, whatever we are trying to create, for example, for dev environment, then I can create one resource group called dev environment. Then everything will be found within that resource group only. No need to search for individual servers. If you'll open this resource group, then you will find all the servers which are tagged in this resource group. So as of now, we don't have any resource group. So let me create one. First server. Okay. Okay, and then what should be the name of your virtual machine? What should be the name? For example, first server should be my name. And which region you want to use? US, East US. And again, availability zone means which specific data center you want to use. So I'm using zone 1. Okay, and then here we have something called security type, is nothing but our firewall. So I will be using some basic level of security. I don't want to use high level of security. I want to use basic level of security. Okay, and then which image you want to use. See, we have same options, right? So I will be using Ubuntu server 20.0 for version. And then what should be the capacity? I mean, whether it should be x64 or ARM64. Same option is available in AWS as well. Okay, I will be using x64. And again, here we have something called spot in discount. See, same options. And then what should be the size? See, 1 core of CPU, 1 GB of memory means our T2 micro. So I will be selecting this. And then whether you should have a public key or password. Azure has very good option. Whether you can create a PEM key or you can create password. So in my case, I will be creating password. Means I don't want to use public keys. So I will be using the username called techie, and the password should be DevOps @123 @0509. It will be asking for 12 digits of password. Okay, DevOps @123 @0509. Okay, this is my password. And then which port number should be allowed? Port number 22, port number 80, what all different port numbers you want to allow, you can allow. Right? So similar options we are able to see. And then if I click on next, so there we were calling elastic block storages. Here we are calling it as disk storages. Means what should be the operating system disk? Whether it should be 30 GB or 10 GB or 8 GB, how much? So I'm using 30 GB. What should be the type of your hard disk? Whether it should be the premium SSD, standard SSD, and some basic one. So I will be using standard SSD. Okay. So delete with virtual machine means if you have deleted your virtual machine, your storage will also get deleted. Same option what we have seen in AWS. Okay. And then key management, platform managed key only. Ignore this option for now. We can talk about this later. Okay, and then networking part. Same networking. I mean, in our VPC, there we have called it as VPC. Here we are calling as virtual network. There as virtual private cloud. Here we are calling as virtual network, VNet. Okay, and then public IP. Then port number 22 is allowed. And if I scroll down, let me select this option. I want to delete my public IP and my network interface cards as well when my virtual machine is deleted. Okay, and we don't want to use any load balancer for now. I will be using none. And then next, I don't want any monitoring. I don't want to use any of these options. Next, I don't want to use boot diagnostics, nothing. I mean, I don't want to unnecessarily use these features and create some unnecessary build, because even we are not aware of this process, right? I mean, the monitoring, why are we using monitoring and all? Okay, so for now I'm disabling all the possible options to reduce the bill. That's it. Next, and if I'll scroll down, here we have the custom data, means bootstrapping. I can also use // yeah, bin.bash. Same option is available. And if I scroll down, then we have this host group, capacity, host groups and all. I mean, a kind of our tenancy models in the background. Replacement groups, tags. Tag is nothing but the name. What name you want to create. And next, review and create. So what is happening? It is trying to show us what all the different options we have selected, and it will show us, see, one started B1S by Microsoft. It is causing 0.8168 INR per hour. Okay, and then this is my mail IDs and all. Okay, and this is a kind of free trial. Scroll down. You can check all the options, whatever you have passed, whether everything is as expected or not, and then just click on create. Once creating, it is trying to initialize our deployment, means it is trying to create one virtual machine for us. See, something is happening, deployment is in progress. And if I'll click on home option, and here we can see the resource group has been created. If I'll click this resource group, then we can see all the options. I mean, we can see our virtual machine, we can see our public IP, we can see our VPC, everything has been provisioned inside this resource group only. No need to search here and there. In AWS, what we were doing, we are trying to search for our EC2 here, our AMI here, and our volume here, and our security group here, right? So in different options we are trying to search, but whereas in Azure, everything will be allocated in the same resource group. Understood? So we are trying to create one group for all our EC. This is my virtual machine, this is the public IP, this is the security group, this is the virtual network, this is my hard disk. So everything is available in the same resource group, and it is easy for us to check what are the different things available for our application or server. Got it? Yes or no? Yeah. So now if you want to connect to this virtual machine, click on first server. Then you can find the public IPC. Public IP address. This is my public IP. So let me just copy this public IP. SSH. What was the username? Techie was the username what I have created. Paste the public key. Let me copy the public key again. SSH @ let me try to paste here and then copy. So this is my public key and then paste. Yes. Now we will be successfully able to connect. So what is the password? DevOps @123 @0509. Hit enter. See, now we are able to successfully log into our Ubuntu server. Understood? No need of any authentication. We can directly create one user and we can provide the password. If I do sudo su, we can see that we have got the root access. Okay. Easy or tough?
It's a initial stage is okay.
It's a good, much different than Amazon.
Yeah.
Yes.
But in terms of user interface, Amazon is pretty clear. I mean, we can see a lot of options, we can easily understand. But if you see this graphical user interface, their graphics or their application, it's lot of confusing. Okay, lot of options. What are these options? If someone is trying to really learn this, then he will really get confused with all these options. Okay, so here they have created the resource group, and in this resource group we can find all the possible options what we have enabled for our application. So this is how we can connect. For example, if you have launched this password or PEM key, then again we can take the snapshot, we can launch instance. Same process is also available. Okay. So we were using Git bash for the connectivity. So apart from Git bash, can we use any other portals? Yes, we have MobiXterm installed in our machines, right? So let us try to use MobiXterm as well. Where is my MobiXterm? So this is my mobile external. Yeah, so this is my mobile external. So this is also one terminal what we have installed in our machines. With the help of mobile external also we can connect. How can we connect? Click on session, SSH, public IP. Sorry, what is the public IP? So let me copy the public IP. So here we have the public IP. Copy public IP and then specify username. So what is the username? Techie. Port number 22 and click on OK. Then it will try to connect to that server and it will ask for the password. See, DevOps @123 @0509. Hit enter. So yes. Okay. 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 Now we can see that we were able to successfully log into the server. This is how we can use mobile XTERM to connect to the remote servers. We can connect multiple servers. See, click here and you can connect. So we can either use Git bash, we can either use mobile XTERM as well. Apart from this, we have putty. Putty, what happened, man? Anasa, do you have any doubt?
Nothing, sir. I got clear. Like I'm asking, we have to connect with Putty also. Now I'm asking.
Yeah. So we can also use putty. So these are different softwares which are available. So you can use any one.
Okay, sir.
Okay, that's up to you. Either you can use Git bash, either you can
Putty
use
or
mobile
mobile
XTERM. Yeah, putty.
Okay, sir.
Understood now why we
Yeah.
have used all these three. So that depends upon for what will happen is whenever we get the laptop from our project. So in some laptops we might not install mobile XTERM. Or in some laptops we might not able to install putty. In this case we can use Git bash. So you can use anything, whatever you feel comfortable. Try to use that option and explore. Every tool has different advantages as well. In putty, in mobile XTERM we have a lot of advantages. You can split screen. For example, if you see this multi EXEC, you can connect to multiple servers and you can execute same command. For example, we can connect to two servers. And if I use multi EXEC, what will happen? If suppose I'm trying to write hello here, then the same will be printing on the other server as well. Means it will help you to execute same command on different servers. So there are a lot of advantages in mobile XTERM in putty. So you can try to explore them as well. Do not just use Git bash. Use mobile XTERM for one day. Tomorrow try to use putty. Okay.
Sabir, I have one question. A little bit confusion about the cycle. Actually, we have better solution for VS Code. VS Code it will give very pretty display and every details will there. Then why Git and
that's what I'm telling Balu. You can use anything. There are a lot of terminals. You can use terminal. Okay, so this is what you are talking, right?
yes.
So SSH techie sorry, what is my public IP? Let me copy the public IP. So we can use any terminal. Even you can use CMD.
Okay,
That's up to you. Whatever you think you are comfortable with, you can use it. See, DevOps @123 @0509 is the password. See, now we are able to successfully log into the Ubuntu server from my Visual Studio.
ఓకే టెర్మినల్ ఇస్ ఓకే ఇప్పుడు Azure నుంచి కానీ సారీ AWS నుంచి కానీ మనం కనెక్ట్ అయ్యేది మళ్ళీ GitHub కేగా
GitHub కి ఎందుకు కనెక్ట్ అవుతాం
ఏదన్నా ఇప్పుడు సోర్స్ కోడ్ క్లోన్ చేసుకోవాలనుకున్నా
that is different use case. If you want to pull your source code from GitHub, then you can connect. But every time we will not be able to, every time we are not doing the same activity, right?
Okay.
So that depends. If you want to connect, you will connect, or else you can ignore. So we can use, end of the day, only one thing what I want to tell is you can use anything whichever you feel comfortable. but try to explore these options. Use mobile XTOM for a couple of days. Use putty, use git bash, use Visual Studio Code. Okay, and try to get your hands dirty on this. Guys, any more questions?
Shiva will ask you one question.
Yes, Shiva.
Here in this, instead of local machine, we are using instances.
Yes, right. So instead of virtual, I mean our VM or Oracle box, whatever we have used, we are using cloud servers.
It is possible to see the data in GUI, which has been there in instances in AWS or Azure.
No, we can see the logs, whatever happened to that instances.
We can
But
see
we
only in CLI.
CLI only. There is no such interface where you can see whatever I have did. I mean that will not be printed over there. We can see logs by using monitoring solution.
Okay. Whereas if I use my laptop as a local machine, I can see that in my Windows operating system.
Yeah, right. I mean, see, for these servers, whatever we have created in Azure or AWS, there is no GUI, there is no graphical user interface, there is only CLI. If you want to set up that, right, that is also possible. For that, you need to install all the packages. Okay, so generally we call it as genome genome setups. But it is not recommended, guys. Do not go for graphical user interface. Be on CLIs only. Okay. Any questions?
సాబీర్ ఎప్పుడన్నా టైం కుదిరినప్పుడు అంటే సెషన్ లో డివాప్స్ కంప్లీట్ సైకిల్ చెప్పగలరా?
What do you mean by complete cycle?
అంటే డివాప్స్ లో స్టార్టింగ్ నుంచి
Balu, we have just started our training from last 10-15 days. Okay, so we have just executed our Git and GitHub only. So before ending this training, you will get to know the complete cycle from GitHub to Jenkins, Docker, Terraform, AWS, how we are integrating each and every tool. Okay, do not worry about that as of now. Focus on what we are trying to learn.
Okay.
Let me stop this recording, guys.